All right, guys, welcome to Kards Korner. I am your host, Jimmy. With me, I have my co-hosts, Devin, Tony, and basically we're going to bring you some sports, dropping some knowledge. What do you think, guys?
Little life lessons.
Little action there, right?
Memorabilia info.
Yeah, so this is kind of our run through of, we're kind of doing figuring out what Kards Korner is going to be about. We want it to be a podcast that everybody can get down with, right? I mean, we want information that's going to be relevant to everybody. We don't want to segregate anybody or, not include everybody in our analysis, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. We encompass everybody. So basically, we are three different kind of guys in the hobby. Some of us collect. Some of us are in the business. Some of us are memorabilia. Some of us, we bring different elements to the card world. And we thought if we harness that and bring it under one umbrella, it can make some pretty magical stuff. So I'm basically, if you know me, you've probably come into my shop, Turf and Dirt, in 702 Kentucky Street in Bellingham. Just thought I'd put that in there.
Little plug.
A little dirty action right there. And then we have Devin, and I'll have Devin explain kind of his angle to the hobby and what he's looking for. Devin is, how would be a good, you're a 75% collector, 25% flipper?
I use the flipping to collect.
Uses the flipping to collect.
Get that money to get my own PC.
There you go. And what about you? What category do you fit in?
I think for me, it's more of a former collector during that era of
late 80s, early
86
90s?
to 92, pre-Jeter era. That kind of got lost in the card game and decided to say, you know what, I'm going to collect memorabilia instead, or just focus on my favorite teams.
So I'm kind of curious, what do you think of the card market today? I mean, you're a guy that was in it back in the day, right? And you're seeing times now of like unprecedented, like just craziness.
Well, I think the quality of the cards has improved greatly, even though recently we've seen some
issues,
some defects in the modern, in some of these different companies that are putting out these cards. But for the most part, it really hasn't changed a whole lot. Without the fact that you don't see team sets or complete sets anymore. I don't know if they exist or not. Like I said, I'm rolling back into this industry and trying to be educated by Jimmy here as much as possible on the game.
Well, the thing I find is the set collector is obsolete today. I mean, it's not a set driven world because there's so many different avenues to go. Like back in the day, the only thing to do was to collect sets. And the reason why is there wasn't autograph cards, there wasn't inserts, you know what I mean? You didn't have anything else to do except rookie chase like today and put those complete sets together. And you got to remember, like back in the early to mid 80s, they didn't make factory sets.
Right.
84 tops, the only way you could collect it was hand collect that stuff. And it wasn't until about 87 they started coming out with 86, I actually think, was the first like marketed, mass-produced factory set.
But do you think there's a market for it?
Sets today, the funny part is that segment of collecting is becoming more popular. That's
Devin, what I would much rather do. But I want to pull it myself. I don't want to sit here and go buy them on eBay.
Right.
I don't mind if they buy it from me.
Right.
But I want to collect my own set. I want to, first come, first serve. I got to get my teams.
But what I'm trying to say is, so basically with all these different brands that are out right now, can you create a set? Do they put out enough cards to create a set?
Yeah, it's going to cost you, 4 or 5 times box market pricing. I mean, I went through just in Top Finest, which was a 100 card set. I probably bought at least 10 boxes.
Wow.
And
The
still
crazy-
don't have the whole set.
The crazy thing is there's a segment out there that they call master set collectors. Like, and that will blow your mind. These are guys that need every numbered card, every autograph, every insert, every under like a football Donruss banner. They need one of everything to master set collect.
And that's what I did back in those.
But see, back
no
in
way
your
you can do it
day,
now.
there was, or back in my day, there was only one avenue to go. You didn't have, 19 different parallels in a card set. You had a card,
right.
right? You had a
You didn't have to
720.
collect the rainbow.
Right. You had a 720 card set.
Yep.
But today, like D-Mag's here, right? When he goes to collect, he's got 720 cards, and there is 9 variations to all 720 cards. You get lost. Each avenue is strange. You
Sort of got to
get out
pick
there.
the inserts that you really
Right.
want to chase. Like,
And that's what
Right.
happened to me in the game early on in those years, where I was just lost. It was just too many subsets of a subset of a subset of a subset.
If I can interject, like one of the things that I get asked the most when people come in and they're new to the hobby, what should I buy? What way should I go? And that is such a difficult question because there's so many, you guys know this,
too many avenues.
there's just too many answers. You can't nail somebody down with just one. It's crazy.
I mean, just in card type, mosaic, do you want that chrome style or do you
Right.
want the paper type card? I mean, the chrome is the flashy, trendy collection, but it's not the
For this generation.
for this generation. by
I'm
far.
I'm hooked on archives, baseball. I mean, believe it or not, I just look.
Like
Maybe
pea
because it's
green.
retro. Maybe because it's retro, and I'm old school. We have
He's
like
got the old
we have
Phillies logo.
we have different generations here of people.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just I don't know. You kind of
I'm the middle
live in the past.
generation.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, so. But
That's that gray beard.
You,
It's like
you can
great.
tell by the.
I'm gonna die next
The
week
hookup.
professionally.
That's the COVID in us right now.
I'm
That's
gonna,
right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, though, if I was a collector today, trying to get into it now would scare me. Like to look at all the varieties. If you roll out of bed and you're like, I want to go buy a pack of football cards, right? And you Google, let's say Donruss football. You're rolling out of bed, haven't done it, don't know nothing. Boom. And you look at the just bombardment of information on just one card type. That would scare the crap out of me.
But it also comes down to, do you want to be a hobby collector or a retail collector? That's
Correct.
That's the market right now is
I think that's where it starts.
camp at Walmart.
I mean, that's where it begins. How are you gonna? What's the purpose of collecting?
Now, let me ask you a question, though. Do you think a podcast like this can help educate somebody in that area to make them less scared?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if you go out into the retail, the card prices might be cheaper, but if you're chasing that numbered card, that autograph card, you're going to buy 10 times the amount before you actually find what you're looking for. So you're still spending the same amount of money. It just might be over a couple months time frame instead of a couple hobby packs right out the door. And I think that's what a lot of people get scared. They get scared of that big ticket. And it got me until this year when I said, screw it. You just got to go, got to jump for it, spend the money, stop wasting the time at the retail stores, and just go get that hobby pack. And, I mean, if you're trying to flip it, you can flip it easily. There, in any of these packs nowadays, you're going to get something that's worth value.
But you're more of a high risk, high reward guy. Where me coming back into it, I'm looking at it as, or I'm collecting as, maybe high, low risk, high reward. Where I'm just going, okay, you got this Chase Young autographed mosaic, and I'm just buying the card.
Yeah. No,
That's my investment.
And that is, like, if you're purely going off of investment and wanting that card to be able to sell down the road, buying singles, yeah, that's a lot of people's route to go. But I don't feel like too much that's the collector side of things. Like, ripping a pack, you can't experience that any other way.
No.
When you're buying on eBay, ripping a pack is the whole different ball game.
Or
Even
buying anywhere.
yeah, I mean, I like to rip that pack.
Well, and two, you're gambling on what you're getting out of that pack. As the collector side, you're taking on whatever comes out of it. It's not single card focus like what you're talking about,
Right.
where you go into a shop and go, I want that Chase Young.
Right.
The pack side it's risk, but you're absorbing whatever comes out of it.
Sure.
Right.
Like D-Mag's talking about. I mean, and I noticed this big time with collectors today. Before the COVID shutdown, right? It was very high box, high pack kind of buyers. And when the prices elevated, they split. The faction became single card only. It's too expensive to get, box by box, so I'm going right to that single card now. And then the box buyers became a little more frenzied because the stuff coming out of the boxes became more valuable.
It's hot.
Oh, it's huge.
My cousin, we had a conversation the other night, and my cousin, who's always in for a good investment, we were discussing it, and we were watching the Turf and Dirt Instagram breaks, or rips.
Some great entertainment, by the way.
Right, and we were going over it, and he asked a question. He goes, "Well, can't you just pre-order the cases or the boxes and just because the fun is all in the rip."
Oh, that for sure.
He's like, he finds no entertainment. Maybe he's happy for somebody that pulled something,
He doesn't watch the video and is entertained by that.
Right. He wants to be able to put his hand on the foil and tear it open and realize I got nothing. And when you pull that last card, pulling something huge.
Sure.
But see,
And that's his thing.
when you do personal rips and you get your pack pulled on Instagram, and everybody else who's on the channel sees the hot card that you pulled,
Yeah.
I mean, you're the top guy.
Oh, yeah. No,
Everybody
no,
wants
yeah.
to see it.
Yeah.
Everybody
You got
talks
the hot
about
hand.
Yeah. God forbid a 101, right?
Yeah,
Right.
shit.
Exactly.
I guess that's the holy grail, I guess.
Yeah, you got to get that all black.
That's the big thing now.
Yeah.
The gold is no longer the key. It's the black prism is where the thickness is. So
I'm not going to find that in the archives baseball.
See, and
you will not know.
and as a Bengals fan, a Joe Burrow, collector, I can't go and buy a single card. I'm buying might as well buy 5 boxes for the price of a high numbered Joe Burrow card. So I would rather do that chase myself and go run through a couple packs, and then along the way I might get some other heat to go with a Burrow hit.
But being a fan of Burrows and looking for that specific Burrows or that hot Burrows card, aren't you wanting to collect more of them, of the same card, since you're going to basically resell another card or that same card?
If it's a Bengal, a Burrow, an Oakland A's, whatever team I'm chasing for, like, I'm keeping those cards. They're going up.
Okay, so they're not for resale.
No, I don't need.
That's for
If
your
I
own
pull
personal-
that 1 of 1 Joe Burrow, it's going on the mantle, so everybody who comes over gets jealous
Right.
after we win a Super Bowl.
But everybody seems to be, it's all about the rookie cards.
Yeah.
Or maybe second year at most, maybe third year, maybe. I don't know. No?
Yeah,
Second,
I
first
really
2
think
years?
it's that rookie year. I mean,
okay.
that second year you're going to get the guys who had that big bang first year.
Right.
But that value is still not going to be there unless it's an autograph
And then
or
the rest
a
of
numbered
what happens
card.
to the rest of the commons?
The commons
Are just,
They go in the 10
it's just like a
bin.
12-year
Right.
12-year
Or-
veteran.
but the companies are putting out enough product that they cover every single player on every single team. Mm-hmm. Or no?
No, I mean,
Really?
Well,
like
I mean,
Don Russ really is the only one that I'm going to pull a defensive side of the ball guy. I just pulled a Geno Atkins. Very rarely are you going to see a D lineman pulled out of a pack of cards.
So you can't build a set from that.
No, you're not pulling a team set.
A
no.
team set. You're not going to do, well, not a team set, but
You're getting 3 to
you're not
4
going to get a
cards
complete
per
set.
team.
You're not going to build a complete set of that.
No.
I mean, yeah, they're not going to have a single card of every single player on the team. They
Okay.
just don't do. They take a
Literally maybe
smorgasbord of 5 or 6
5
that
players
they do.
max,
Okay.
and that's the big sets.
So the
Otherwise,
complete
it's
set,
about 3
the complete set days are just done.
done.
Full set. I mean,
Full
full
set.
like
You're-
cards of each player
Yes,
that
you're
You're
doesn't
That's
going
happen
done.
to.
That's
to
done.
the stadium, and they already got it pre-packaged for you
Sure.
for the
Sure.
$10. Here you go, take it.
I gotcha. See, you learn something new every day.
So
You're
let me
a
ask you a
turf
question. So, like, do you think, I mean, the whole idea of just information sharing is to try to get people better educated, right? I mean, people right now, it's almost like bumper cars with sports cards, right? They have
Yeah.
nowhere to go. They don't know what information to look at. You could pull up any information you want and you're going to get 10 different opinions.
You also just don't know who to trust.
Correct.
I mean, who's trying to make their money off of you? Oh yeah, that's a great car. Let me buy that off of you. Then I'm gonna grade it and I'm gonna flip it for 5 times the amount of what you just sold it to me.
Correct.
Right.
And so there's those bag of dicks out there, and there's plenty of them.
They do exist. Yes. Coin the
come
phrase.
in flocks.
Well, and that happens too when a market is hot, right? I mean, it just brings the negativity out of the woodwork, right? The fast buck guys, the
NBA mosaic that rocked the world.
Yeah.
I see these guys on Instagrams doing their thing every night. Every night I see them at a certain time, and they come on.
So
and it's solely basketball. Basketball.
But when
mean,
when you're paying $1,000 for a box and you're getting 10 cards, I mean,
yeah.
Is it worth it? Like, if you get a whole Katavius Caldwell Pope, I mean, that's a great autograph.
I don't think that the industry, as hot as it is right now, without COVID, I don't think it'd be as hot still.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
I think it's still hot because of the fact coming back into the game and being the collector side, having that numbered and the color variation, chasing the rainbow. I mean, it's huge to be able to collect all of that. I mean, it's that chase, that fire that burns. You know, you gotta hit that jackpot at the casino. I mean, I love it. I want to pull that one of one. I mean, that's the holy grail.
When you do it, that's the hook.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's fine to talk about it,
until you do it.
The hook until you do it is the ultimate, like, candy, right? I mean, rip it on Instagram. We do it almost daily, right? There's tons of great stuff we pulled, but sure, it's great, but what is the end game, right? I mean, you know, mosaic only lasts a certain amount of time, and what is the end game with it? The other thing I want to preface and you guys think about is you can search and get 19 different podcasts of every subject you could possibly think of. What is going to separate us from the competition? Everybody's talking about sports cards today. Everybody's talking about sports. What is going to set us apart where they would want to tune in to watch us rather than, you know, Joe Blow down the street or, you know, 2 a.m. guy.
We're not in our mom's basement, first off. It's not.
Oh.
We definitely got out of there.
He went there.
He
went right there.
I went there. You know, get out of mom's basement.
Like the Jell-O and the peanut butter smear and all that.
Real
Do you know about the peanut butter smear?
knowledge.
No, what is that?
You don't know about the peanut butter smear?
That's only for your dog, right?
No, there's a certain segment. I don't know. Let's check with the producer. Can we go there? Probably not. We probably have to edit for content.
Right.
This is after hours.
There is a Jiffy conspiracy that exists. I'll lay that down. You can see.
I'm gonna have to Google.
You
that.
can Siri the crap out of that for the Jiffy conspiracy.
Or ask my teenagers.
I mean,
but what sets us apart? I mean, what do you want people to gain from this podcast opposed to 19 others doing the same subject
it's just
matter?
the genuine information. Like, we're not trying to force our opinion on everybody out there. Right. We're just giving the knowledge. Whether you think it's shit or not, you don't have to listen to it.
From 3 different levels.
I mean, we're here to just throw out our own opinions. That's everybody out there is trying to do. You know, nobody wants to listen to us. Great, but there's going to be thousands of other people who are going to want to listen.
I mean, I definitely look at it differently than either you two would look at it, right? I mean, I was what you do. Like, that was my big thing when I got back into cards. I was more of a collector. It was flip enough to support the hobby, but it was, you know, I would pay that extra $1 to get a card I liked that typically wouldn't make sense to do, but
that Evan White
like relic that you would pay $80 for that was worth $20. Yep.
Sometimes you got to do it.
But, you know, the thing though is when you look at a hobby in a jaded screen, so to speak, right? Like, I look at it business sense only now.
Right.
Every single thing, it's value, right? It kind of distorts your opinion. Like, you don't get the joy out of it.
Yeah.
Like, the excitement you get out of getting your 55 Bowman TV card of JT Realmuto.
That's right. That's right.
Or Devin gets out of pulling a T. Higgins, right? It's,
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it's, but there's also I think there's a good angle and a good opinion that you can give looking at things that way.
Yeah.
Money's great. Nobody's allergic to it, right? But at the end of the day, when you let it control you, it's like this was designed as a hobby.
But since you started out as a collector,
It's designed
Correct.
as a kid's
right?
hobby.
You started out as a collector. I mean, what has it done to you now that you're on the business side of things? Do you still have that love and that passion and that just that desire to, like, you know what? Are you gonna get a box from your, from your stepdaughter? Are you gonna get a box for Christmas something that's somebody's been holding out or mom got you or something?
Well, the thing that's cool about it is
Without flipping it.
the ultimate feeling of when you rip something and you get excited about it. It still exists.
Yeah.
You feel it less. I don't have it as prolonged.
Because you're numb to it.
Because it's like
You
part
become
of the
numb to it,
game,
yeah.
but you still get jazzed up by it. I pull a 101 for some customer.
Chase Young, Relic.
Right. It's a laundry tag 101. I get excited. But that excitement is 15 seconds when a collector might be excited for a day or two,
Shit.
a week, like
That
it's
Fernando
fleeting.
Tatis, the man auto, I'm still stoked about it.
Right.
I hate that part of it because there's a collector mind in me that goes, God, you used to love that stuff. Like you would get jazzed up over a look of a card or
Shit, on the Player of the Day pack, I pulled a Joe Burrow, and I was like, God, finally, it
Right.
was Christmas.
so it sucks that you don't have the ultimate feeling all the time, but I'll tell you what, I like the cross section of the community I get to see, the type of collectors that exist. I wasn't hip to that before. Like you see some off the wall, like weird collecting,
Oh,
but
hell
it's
yeah.
cool as hell.
I want to get all of the 9 of 10 just because it's the player's number
Right.
collector. Or
And it's
All
also the
green.
17-year-old kid, right, that YouTubed the crap out of sports cards and was like, okay, I'm buying a pack. And he got like the first string center, right? He got a Jeff Saturday autograph.
Oh,
And he is stoked and comes back the next day. He's common card picking. That's pretty cool. I mean, I have to admit, that is a lot of fun.
It's just different generations, We did all the picking back in the day, and we worked
You're
hard.
like
We had our
that.
checklist,
You're like
and we're
that.
sitting there
You're like that Billy Ripken bat knob error
That's
card,
right.
and you're
I
like,
needed that one. I needed the regular
Yep.
one. I needed, no errors. I needed whatever they put out.
so what? I'm gonna ask you this because we're close to the same generation.
Sure.
What was the card type that you got back in the day? I mean, what hooked you into sports cards as a kid?
For me, it was just my heroes growing up. Mike Schmidt.
Well,
George
inform
Brett.
the audience. Where did you grow up?
I'm originally from Jersey.
Sure.
Grew up a diehard Phillies and Yankees fan. I'm a, tried and true Giant fan, regardless of what they seem to be doing. Even though the Yankees just outscored both the Jets and the Giants this weekend. And, it was my move to South Florida, to Miami, being, Cuban American. And I was, caught up in that whole baseball fever, sports fever in South Florida. We were subjected to, mall, card shows every single weekend, starting every Saturday morning. And you would bounce around 5, 6, 7 malls in a day
yeah.
just to hunt down it. But being in Latin, having a lot of Latin ball players living down in South Florida, these guys were very accessible. We had every spring training, we had, all the spring trainings down there, or a lot of them. And
Sure.
So you would just hunt down, and they were very approachable, especially if you're the same race for the most part, or you speak their language.
yeah.
Do
sure.
you remember though the card that hooked you? Like,
Yes.
what was it? The
It was-
one that you saw and you're like, I'm in.
It was my Don Mattingly,
Like the '84
the
Don
84
Russ.
Don Mattingly. Yep.
Yep. And you saw that, and that was it.
And that was all she wrote. And then, well, actually, once I started learning about all these cards had values, I did it before that. I was collecting cards.
Oh, yeah.
But we were, playing card games on the street. Playing
Flipping
the game,
them and all
flipping 'em
that,
stuff
yeah.
like that. I can't tell you how many George Brett rookies and all those things I lost. And putting them in your bike spokes. Believe it or not,
Oh.
I'm not that old, but
Man, could you
it
put
was
a
still
mosaic
it was
in
still
there?
nice.
That'd make some good noise.
That would
It-
really
it-
make
it-
some
ting, ting,
noise.
ting.
Yeah.
But that's what got me, and growing up, living in Jersey, North Jersey at that, and we're 15-minute, 10-minute drive from Yankee Stadium, across the bridge, and you're in the Bronx, and you have to or you go to Shea back in the day, or even Giant Stadium at Paramus. My parents were season ticket holders. 6 minutes away, from the Meadowlands, Seacrest.
Sure.
So, and being exposed to that generation of players, the LTs and the Phil Simses of the world, and
The Jeff Hostetlers and all
the
that.
Hostetlers, the Bavaros, all those guys.
The Jason Sehorn.
That's right. That's right.
Do you remember what got you hooked into the hobby? Was there a certain card?
My dad was a big collector, so it was. I mean, it didn't even have to be cards. I used to send letters to players to the team facilities just to get an autographed picture sent back, and
Sure.
half of it probably was fake signatures, but I mean, I was stoked. Even if it was printed on there, I was taking it. The first card, I was sitting there trying to remember. Growing up in California, Oakland A's fan. My family was all Niner fans. Dad was a Chargers fan. Didn't really follow football as much as until I got older, and then I was like, I want to pick my own team. Went with the Cincinnati route. It's the best of the worst teams. But that first card that I feel like I pulled was that Jose Canseco, the Bash brother card, and
Sure.
that was my guy growing up. And then for a guy like that who just kept flipping teams, then that's where the collector in me came. Tampa Bay, Texas, New York, whatever team he went to, I had to have his card.
Boston, where he did the
Yeah.
whole flex in the outfield.
I'm taking every card from every team he went to, going to every game from
Sure.
every team he's playing with.
And I played softball with him and his brother in Miami back in the day.
Was Ozzy pretty good?
I couldn't tell them apart.
Hey, that's what Bartolo's doing now.
I played third base,
I
so
saw
I
him just
didn't-
hit a home run in a
I played third
softball
base, so
game.
I just didn't want him to hit it towards me.
Oh man, you imagine a hot corner freaking shot from Jose Canseco
No.
back in the day.
That's where you just ole.
That's when you just like fall down and scream. So I know for me, the first player, and this is kind of Homer like, right? But I remember the first pack I ever got was from my grandmother, and it was an '86 Topps. And I remember the first name that came was Alvin Davis, and that was like the first Mariner like superstar I collected. And I remember people would laugh at me because it's like Alvin Davis at the time, he was rookie of the year in American League, right? He was a baller.
Yep.
But he was a Mariner. So he was half a baller in status, right? When you're a Mariner, you got to wait on your ankle.
You're too far northwest. Nobody.
Right,
pays
you're in
attention.
the
like playing
wrong coast.
It's like playing pro league in Nebraska.
Correct.
know?
It's like Midwest corn-fed baseball, right? So I remember being excited about that. And then I had my grandma was a huge Packer fan, like Lombardi, Bart Starr, the whole deal. And so I actually had an affinity for the Packers. It was the old school coaching of Lombardi and stuff, like remember when I was coaching sports, I would like bring the old school Pete Rose, Vince Lombardi, the standing in front of the chalkboard, your X, Y, and Z and all your player. And yeah, and that got me hooked. And it was all she wrote from there. Like it was on.
And for me also, it was baseball because it was a South Florida thing. But growing up back east and being a hockey player my whole life, when the hockey cards started coming out, that I realized they were coming out, I started. I own as much hockey as I do baseball, believe it
Sure.
or not. And it was my thing. I mean, I used to carry around Mike Bossy, and then when the New Jersey Devils came around, I had a Chris Terreri because I was a goaltender.
When you were in high school, did you like go to school with a hockey stick in like your bag? Like,
No, it was more of, you were tired going in high school because you were basically, when you grow up a single mom and you have, she's a hockey mom and you're at practice at 5 a.m., it's just one of those things you just kind of go with.
do you remember your first car? Do you remember that?
My first car?
Yeah. Did you rock a
Yeah.
Ford Pinto?
I had no.
We had to push start it.
I had a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans Sport Coupe.
Oh, a Pontiac Le Mans.
Big tank
It was
of a
a
car
fastback.
for safety. It was for safety
for
reasons.
safety.
My mom was for safety reasons. And then I downgraded down to more of a. Remember the Fiat Spider convertible?
Yep.
So I had one of those, which
That's
I taught
baller
myself how to
stuff.
drive.
Do you remember
still.
your first ride?
Chevy Cavalier. couldn't even
Better
tell you the year.
better than a K car, man.
It was whatever the money was put aside over the years for me growing up, and hey, I'll take that one. And then now we sold it to the blind. So
I think I was a little.
You sold it to the blind.
I think I was a little spoiled because they took me to my cousin's auto body shop, and he had like an '83 Grand Prix, back in those, '78 to '83 Monte Carlos, and he had a Grand Prix, and they brought me in there to get me to, heck, we're gonna buy you. We're gonna.
Did they
spend our
have
money.
like a pack of like 83 tops sitting on
No,
the seat next to you when you?
There was a gun in the glove box.
Oh,
There was a gun in the glove box. That's why I got my love into guns. But I basically told my mom and stepdad, I was like, I know my cousin's selling this car, and he's giving us a great deal because it's family. And I said, you know what? I can take the bus to New York. I don't need the car. It was terrible. I was ungrateful, and you look back now as you get older, and it's like, I appreciated the gesture, but
I have a weird story about my first car though. I was in high school, and I remember I was sitting in history class, and there was a note from the office. You need to come to the office, and that's always a death blow, right? When you're in high school, and they're like, yeah, you need to come to. I'm like, shit, what'd I do? I couldn't remember because I was like a good kid, right? I'm like, oh goodness. And I had this guy in the neighborhood that kind of took to me when I was a kid. I met him when he was like 18. I think I was like 8.
Oh.
But he was kind of a neighborhood cool guy. He had 67 Pontiac GTO, my favorite car. He had it as a teenager, was always working on it. So he kind of became family friend and stuff. So I get to the office and he's standing and I'm like going, what is going on? He's like, we got to go. I'm like, what are we doing? So we go to I-5 Auto World, the used car part of I-5 Auto World, right? And I get out, and I had this 76 Pontiac Firebird, Ninja Star rims. You remember those?
no. I do not.
See by the look on your face, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where the wheels were faster than the
Car, yeah.
Right? And my grandma was standing there next to the car. And they had worked out a deal, so my grandma bought it, and I'd pay her back. But they called it the Blue Bomber. So I would go to school in this 76 Pontiac Firebird, where the rims were hotter than the car. And, yeah, that was my first car story. So it was pretty sick. I had seniors wanted to ride around in the car with me. I was a sophomore, and, like, the star basketball players who could barely fit in the trunk, right? They'd be like, hey, can we have a ride? It was a straight 6. Remember those?
Yeah, they still make them.
Do they really?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just making it up.
I drive a Jeep now, so.
So what do you have at home that you would not part with, regardless?
Honestly, I'm an Evan White guy, so one of the beauty parts of what I do is kind of the relationships you get to forge with people and organizations, right? So we did a sponsorship deal when I was with another shop with the Everett Aqua Sox, and I remember when Evan got drafted, was excited, didn't know who he was, but it was first round draft pick, super stoked. Let's go meet him, right? Cool guy, got to meet him, had a great, even if you see up there, you see that scorecard, his first professional at bat, I scored it and had him sign it.
Nice.
That's how dedicated I am.
That's a big collector.
Right. And anyway, so after about a year or so, we go back and the team presented me a game used jersey autographed. I've had guys offer me $2,000 for it, and I would absolutely not part with it. So for me, that's my Everett Aqua Sox Evan White is off limits.
Nice.
What about you?
For me, it's probably
Your Schmedium? Your Schmedium
yeah.
Real Muto shirt that you guys were out drinking one night. And
I think it's probably my Steve Carlton autographed, my Steve Carlton autographed 8x10 that I got. Long story short, we were going to one of our card shows at a mall, and they were shutting down at 1. Well, Steve Carlton was there till 1, signing till 1, and they had a raffle, and literally it was probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes till it was all over. And I walk in there, I see nobody else. They gave me a raffle ticket, sign your name on the raffle. On the other one, and they're going to announce it in a few minutes. And I'm not even getting into the card show, looking at the first table, my name is called out, and I was like, "What?" I won, and I went up to Steve Carlton, and he had a bunch of stuff laid out. We had a few minutes conversation.
That's cool.
Before for cell phones and stuff like that, so
Sure.
you couldn't take a selfie with them, unfortunately. Right? We had the old 110 thing,
The Polaroid, we got to take it, and you got to wave
Right.
wave the picture
Shake
to
it
get
like
it
a
to
Polaroid.
develop.
And he signed it to me, and I've been lugging it around ever since. And that was back probably.
That's cool.
That was probably 30 years ago.
What
And I
about
still
you?
have,
See,
You got to have one piece that you absolutely would not part with for all the money in the world.
sort of like two pieces. Growing up, sort of had the deadbeat dad halfway through. Kurt Warner, quarterback of the Rams.
I was going to say Seahawk running back.
For first year that he came in, I fell in love with the game, that gritty game that he brought. And,
That arena football.
Yeah,
game,
that
right?
old man I was stalking.
He was just a
on the
gunslinger.
show,
He was just a gunslinger,
and I'm going to
man.
come out here. I got nothing to lose,
Nothing.
and sort of built a father figure with him. I'd write him, he'd send me shit. I mean,
Oh, that's cool.
I have so many random autograph things from him, but when he finally went to Arizona, I was living out here, and I went to, I believe it was the year they went to the Super Bowl. It was their game that they came to Seattle, and I just had a Kurt Warner MVP type sign that I was hanging over the tunnel as they were running in, and he stopped, came over, talked to me,
What?
signed a football, signed one of his books. I mean, I was probably
What did those tickets cost?
I wasn't even sitting there. I was just elbowing my
Oh,
way
I got
through.
you. I got you.
But I was
Yeah,
probably-
that was your body surfing your way into
I was
that,
definitely.
right?
I was 21, but man, when I walked away, I was in full tears. Like that was. I could have been done seeing another sports event ever, and that was the highlight of.
See, that's
my
the
collecting.
beauty of what we do. Like, I know I talk the business side all the time, but it's those experiences that other industries don't get that opportunity, right?
No.
I mean, it is crazy the connection fans have with things and autographs.
And football is kind of tough because, like, the intimacy with baseball is different.
Sure.
You got BP, and the guys throwing in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean-
you got the, nowadays in modern day ballparks, you got the bullpens. Visiting bullpens are
Well, and you
wide
look at
open.
like the minor leagues, right, where the players have got to like walk through the crowd to get to the clubhouse.
Right.
And
I
Yeah.
was in Cincinnati 2 years ago, and hanging out with the security guys as the player entrance, and the guys got to drive in and stop at a gate. And so they're sitting there in a line, and I'm by myself with some security guards. Andy Dalton rolls in, rolls his window down with his wife, signs, takes some selfies. And, Drake or Patrick, Joe Mix, everybody's rolling through, and they are all stopping, rolling their window down. I'm probably not supposed to be there, but every picture, everybody was stopping. No, and that was the cool part about it is, I probably wasn't supposed to be there, but they were all good with it. I wasn't trying to push anything on them.
did
But
you
I
get
mean,
selfies?
no.
He's just like a
The
rock
110
with a chisel.
I mean, I got
No.
their car. I probably got their license plate in some of these
Sure.
pictures.
You got whatever was in his drink holder.
The
Yeah.
medium.
For me, it's like nowadays, and I'm going to speak solely on baseball. Now there's so many. I use basically the fact that I speak Spanish to communicate with these players to make them feel comfortable.
Sure.
From the minor league level to the pros, there isn't a game that I don't go to that I can walk out of. Some people go a lifetime without getting a ball, whether it's a foul ball, a throw in, or something like that. And it's like I'll go to a ball game now with such confidence. It doesn't matter what team it is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'll go up there, talk to the Latin ball players, and there's not a baseball game that I can go to that I won't have. I won't
Leave with
land
something.
3 or 4 baseball. I won't leave out of there with 3 or 4 baseball.
So I'm curious, like, I go to Everett Aqua Sox games a lot, and I see there's a barrier between Latin ball players and your average Aqua Sox fan. Do they ever feel a need? Like, I mean, do they want to communicate with fans? Are they frustrated by the language barrier?
The minor league ball players that I've come across, mostly Aqua Sox,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm a fan of, those guys.
Webley, by the way.
Huh?
Webley, by the way. Big
That's
feet, little hands.
That's right. But you got to understand. I mean, these kids are leaving these countries, the Dominican Republic,
Sure.
Puerto Rico.
16 years old.
They're just kids, but they're trying to achieve their life dream, and become a pro. And they make it housed with different families, or what do you call those families again?
Host families.
Host families.
Yeah.
And you know, I've walked to these ball games. I've gone to these ball games, and I sit there. I buy the program. You know, help the cause, right? All that money helps the team out. And
Does it really?
I think so. I think
Okay.
some of that money. I mean,
Have you ever sat in a section and bought the whole section popcorn when?
I
the
did that
popcorn
once.
batter
I did that
happened?
once at a rookie. It was opening day at rookie ball in Billings, Montana. I went to see the Billings Mustangs, and we were cruising through town, and jumping off subject here. But anyway, went there, and you know, I was amazed. This is the first time I'd gone to like a minor league ballpark, you know, and seeing the players that came out of there. You know,
Sure.
Paul O'Neill played there,
Sure.
and amongst others. And when I saw the prices, I was like, "This is crazy," and it wasn't a
Because
full.
it's for a quarter of what a pro stadium
Right,
is,
right. If that, you know, and you know, I thought I was the East Coast, you know, gangster mafia, whatever you want
That's
to
why
call
we
it.
have you on this podcast.
That's right.
Right.
And it was one of those.
You bring
things,
that Latin
you know,
flavor.
whatever you want to call it. And I was like, "How much is this?" I looked down the road, like, this won't cost me more than $26, you know. So I bought everybody a hot dog and a soda for the entire row.
There you go.
You know, because that was like, and they looked at me like, "Oh, this is great. Who is
Do
this
you,
guy?"
do you know what Tony is in Greek though? What the Greek translation of Tony is?
What?
Baller.
But
Like
I thought it was to New York.
When you go to Greece and you say Tony, they look at baller.
They spell it with an I. No, I don't know. But these minor league ballparks, these young men that are playing this game in a far away, you know,
Sure.
state. I mean, they're not even going to, you know, they're not even playing in Miami. Obviously, we're out here in the Northwest. So these guys are far from home. Not only, and they have a host family. Their host families, you know, give them bedding and whatever,
Sure.
a room to, you know, sleep in, get them to the games on time and all this other stuff for practices. And then, but you know, they don't have their food. They don't have anything that pertains to their culture.
I couldn't imagine the language barrier. Like I've been a host family for like the Bellingham Bells, where these guys are English speaking out of college, right? And it's strange for them just out the gate.
fish out of water.
But could you imagine like you're in a strange home and then you have the language barrier, like,
Right.
and then the culture shock, right? I mean, America, the United States is unlike any other country in the world,
Sure.
right? I mean, it is when you're from a place where running water is an every other day kind of scenario, and you come here, it's holy crap, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I always feel bad because you want to communicate with them. As fans, we appreciate them, but they look at us as strangers, right?
That particular Mariner game, the Mariners were playing the Phillies. The Phillies had a Latin ball player and happened to be Cuban.
Was it JT Realmuto?
No.
Okay.
He's from Oklahoma. But he was a...
He wasn't in the Cuban side of Oklahoma.
So he... the ball, you know, the kids were like, "Can I, you know, so and so, can I get your autograph? Can I get your autograph?"
You're gonna drop the Spanish on us. aren't
Yeah,
you?
right. So
Okay.
then the kids were, and I was already there. I was at the rail already, right? And they were beside me. And they
So
were all
this is
fighting
supposed
for
to
a
be the
ball.
cue for you to do it,
Right.
Like this is the fourth
Is that
time.
what that is? I thought it was go to the bathroom break or something. We on a station break.
Cut to commercial.
Yeah,
Cut to commercial.
cut to commercial.
So it was like I called. I looked at the player and I was like, these kids were all yelling his name, you know, and just English and. You know, being Spanish, I just yelled his name, which was, you know, pronounced the same way, just with a Spanish accent. And he looked up.
Did you roll the R?
Huh?
You rolled the R, didn't you?
No, there was no R's involved. And then I was, I basically talked to him from there. And I go to these games prepared too. It's not like I'm wearing either this team or that team, unless there's the Phillies or the
You
Yankees.
like got the Dominican flag.
I got the
draped
Cuban
over
baseball
you.
cap, national baseball cap on. I got a Cuban T-shirt or something that says Cuba. And I looked down and he threw me a ball. The kids were like in utter shock. And as I walked away, and I had a ball from another player, Latin ball player. And as I'm walking away, one of the kids' moms says, "Hey, how do you do that?" And I was like, I just turned around and said to her, "Learn Spanish." Simple.
So having the sponsorship deal with the Aqua Sox, we would set up in the stadium to sell sports cards, right? Believe it or not, I know that sounds like a
Money maker.
right, but it sounds like that is like peanut butter and jelly, right? Those go together. When we presented that idea to the baseball team, we're gonna sell baseball cards in your stadium. They're like,
At
why
the gift
haven't-
shop?
Yeah, why haven't we thought about that before? That's why we're here. But we had a gentleman, and our producer, Stacy, would know this guy. He was from the Dominican. He was one of their cameramen. He would always come by around the 7th inning after he unpacked the camera. He would buy 1 pack of cards. One of my most favorite guys in the stadium.
Besides me and Dev.
Correct. I didn't know you guys then,
We weren't in
but
the stadium.
you guys would be number 2 and 3.
There we go.
He would still be ranked number 1.
Gotcha.
I'll take
But this guy was a baller, right? And he was kind of mediocre in the cards, but he was huge with Latin players. Huge. Every time I saw him, a different Dominican style jersey. It was great. Loved it. His trivia for sports. And he was a guy that was like, yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. I got an interview with like the Diamondbacks. I'm like, oh, shit, really?
Moving on now.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, next week I got to fly out and the Mets are talking to me. And I'm like, dude, we should be getting your autograph, right? But he was the one guy in the camera well that's always doing the hard job. Focus the camera, foul balls hit at him. He's got to duck out of the way, you know. But that's the beauty of minor league baseball. You get to meet individuals you typically wouldn't get to see, right? I mean,
It's just a
It's like
throwback
us.
to the it's the
It's
throwback
the
to the
ground,
days.
ground
Yeah.
floor.
we are the ground floor. We are that. Do you feel like you're the ground floor?
I don't think I can reach the ground.
So I guess, you know, we've shared our experiences, right?
Some.
We kind of shared what we think about what the podcast we want to get out of it, right? Do you think, and I know what the answer is going to be, but I have to say it just outwardly. Do you think real sports affects the sports card market? And but you're going to answer, and I know what you're going to answer, and I'm going to ask you this. Okay, if that's the case, see, I'm already like, if that's the case, when there was no sports and cards were soaring, how did that happen?
Are
wanna get
Are you talking back in the day?
We're talking.
No, I'm talking about like
Currently.
current.
Current.
Right. Do you think sports affects the current sports
it was
card
the,
market?
The hype anticipation.
Right. Like going into the NFL kickoff, were NFL cards hot with just the anticipation of the NFL kickoff?
Yeah, I think it probably did make it even higher because people were itching for something. They needed something to look forward to.
Or
It's
grab
been-
onto during these times. These are turbulent times.
I would agree, though, but during the COVID shutdown, when there was nothing, there was a vacuum. How do you explain the escalation in sports cards when there was no
Free
sports
time. Everybody's at home, Googling, eBay.
Trying to
They're
start
like-
something new, a new hobby, a new something.
like a
Something to pass the
podcast?
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody can
Like
do
a podcast.
podcast.
Like a schmedium?
I mean, you can just buy a podcast kit and go to town.
Yeah.
You can go on YouTube and buy their pre-made kits for podcasts.
How about them apples?
But they were sold out on
It's
Amazon.
probably not
Because
better than
everybody's
what
home
we
doing
put
a
together.
podcast.
Right, we couldn't do it.
That's right.
We had one of our local businesses complain because there's too many podcasts being started. She couldn't get a tripod because there were too many podcasts.
What happens when we all go back to work?
Is that going to happen though?
I hope so. I mean, it's just something that we have.
So in
to,
the real world, what do you do? I mean, this is what I do for a
This
living.
is work. Why? I mean, it's
I
what
reached
you
out
make
to
it.
you for that same sole purpose.
To get a job?
No, to
Oh.
get to kind of re-educate myself and learn. I'm just glad you were humble enough to, to kind of help me along the ways, and you still help me along the way as far as this whole card collecting
Getting
thing.
your sea legs.
Exactly. Well, you see me, start buying packs, give me a box.
Oh.
Of course,
Not
I
if
chose
OPG,
hockey, but-
though.
Yes, but that's
Yeah.
what I bought. But I love
You
hockey.
do realize
That's cheaper
though,
than a mosaic pack.
you do realize that the future of sports cards is important. I mean, money today is great, but longevity and healthiness 10 years from now is hugely vital.
I just hope it
Hopefully-
doesn't lose its sight because kids buying an $85 pack of Mosaic 2020 football. I mean, how many children can do that?
Not many.
When I was a kid, like I said, these packs were cheap. And we
I
were
was
getting all these
mowing a
stars.
lawn for $20 to buy a box of
Yeah,
87
my
tops.
kid, my
'Cause
kid
all-
was scooping horse shit so that he could buy a pack of cards. Like it's how much dedication you want.
How
to
many
put in.
horses do you have in your life to be able to do that?
I don't have.
I haven't-
Horses.
like,
That's
do you have a
that's
horse?
a grandma thing.
I have never even seen a horse, only in Times Square. I've never been around a horse.
The riot
I
police.
stopped when I
did
first
they-
moved up here. I stopped for cows because I didn't know, and then they all started coming towards me. And I was wondering what was going
You better
on.
watch out for the deer.
And my
yeah.
wife says,
Yeah,
"Oh, they think
straw.
it's feeding time." I thought they were just going to stampede me.
But I'm hoping that this influx of collectors now will just carry over for the future. You're getting so many new collectors now that I feel like, once they get that itch and they start scratching.
Do you think longevity is the trend, though? Or do you think it's quick buck, get in, hit your money, and get out?
I'd say right now you're probably
hit
looking.
it and quit it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't want to go there, but
It's like a 50.
we are a family show,
It's
by
like
the
a
way.
50-50. I definitely think you got those people, but I think the people who want to be collectors are that older generation who are trying to get back into it. I think
He was going to draw a Lock Walker.
the 30 and under are the flippers.
But they're doing it solely with sports cards. How many of these guys are actually going out and buying memorabilia?
Oh, nobody, because I
you
see
got to
those,
be first of all, you got to be probably framing, having a jersey.
Mem is
framed.
hard, though. Like, you got to have physical space to deal with it.
Right.
oh, and you got to have so much certification. You can't. I got
Cards
this
are
autographed
easy.
helmet,
Yeah.
but there's no.
Because
You got to have something to go with it.
You could fit, 10 boxes of Mosaic in a shoebox, stick in your closet.
Call it
There's
a day.
no...
You can't have an Earl Campbell in a shoebox, autographed helmet.
Yeah.
Right. It
Or
could be
McCaffrey.
next to the fly trapper
McCaffrey.
on turf and dirt, right?
But my
I
thing
got a
is,
Dwayne Haskins ball for sale, by the way.
Yeah.
Huh?
He had a great game.
Washington
Well,
Redskins.
he came back.
Oh, Washington football. Ooh.
Watch, what did he say?
That's...
Dun, dun, dun.
Really?
Is there a playback button on this?
Yeah. Can we reverse it?
But like I
Edit.
said,
Shout out to Ron Rivera.
Edit.
you got to focus on
Is
what
he the
sport
head
you-
coach
He is the head coach. He's
for the Washington football team?
He's a childhood friend's uncle. We grew up together.
Rivera?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Ron Rivera. I mean, my mom
He's sick
dated
now,
his
you know,
brother.
he's sick.
Yeah, he's got.
I think it's
lymph
skin cancer. Or something. Yeah, something.
He found it himself, but
Rivera did?
Yeah.
Rivera
Really?
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get him on the show? You think?
I've tried to get him to do a lot of different things. I mean,
Well, if Kyle Kendrick was still pitching for the Phillies, and he was
now that he
down,
left
not really
Carolina,
local.
maybe.
Spencer Howard. I housed that young boy when he was at Bellingham Bell, so we can call him up, be like, "Hey, we have an
I just think,
we have
you
an
know,
Quite a
unpaid
bit of home
food
runs
debt."
his first game.
I'm just trying to figure out the whole, what to start with, what to.
What is your biggest freak out, though? I mean, I can't imagine being you trying to want to get into it, but
because
not understanding
somebody's
what's
coming
going
back
on.
to it, and if you're from the old school days, and I don't mean like the 50s and 60s, but if you're from the 80s and these cards cost so much,
Like
and you're
87
collecting,
Donruss?
now you're hoping that you have something that can at least you're not going to get the value of a box, out of all the cards you pull out of that box. I mean, you might, I guess, right?
It depends on what kind of time and effort you want to put into it. Are you grading? Are you sending that one big hit card that you got to get graded, spending that little
Right.
extra money, then flipping
Right.
that? You probably are going to make that money back.
And you're
But
learning
then-
that from these guys that are doing all these analytical
But
things.
then the
and-
grading time is astronomical.
Oh yeah.
So you
I'm still waiting for my Kyle Lewis.
You got to pay big top dollar in order to get it turned around fast enough before that guy loses his his lust.
Yeah, but flippers today can't grade. I mean, due to the delay in grading, if you're a
Sure.
flipper, that is a death blow.
So you're saying it's better off is it better off buying if
But
you're
if
if
you-
you're if you're the guy collecting
See,
the one
the
card?
misconception is that when grading becomes the thing, the raw market goes up right behind it. And the reason why that is at a certain point, the grading companies become bogged down. So if you're a flipper and you got Zion Williamson sitting in grading piles waiting to come back,
And he tears something.
and he blows out a knee because he had too many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that day, that card goes from
Charles
$1,000 to
Barkley.
worth nothing. So flippers can't afford, when the market gets bogged down, to grade. If you flip, raw's the only way to go, and that's where we benefit.
But then when you sell raw,
Do you think we should put the website up right now?
For what?
I don't know.
Turf and Dirt singles day?
That's him, not me. I didn't do it. We're not affiliated whatsoever, promise you.
Single Moms Day?
Single moms, the more the merrier.
The scary part is we've dated ourselves with the card types that we were talking
Sure.
about. This guy over here is talking about stuff back in 2012. How does that make you feel?
Like
Hi,
that's
Grandpa.
that to me seems like it may have been a lost era, like part of saving.
Russell Wilson,
you know.
rookie year.
Oh, can't mess with that. But there's still a market for the old stuff. I mean,
Sure.
I get all these feeds all
Definitely
the
a
time
Mike
on my
Schmidt
phone.
rookie card.
PSA 8 OC, too.
OC.
It was the last three.
Last four.
Last four.
2, 3, 4, 8.
long
Shout out.
story. Yeah,
Inside
we'll
joke.
go in that later. But
That'll be episode 26. But I just right now, and I'm being so close to the border, I think now, like I'm gonna jump all over the whole Kraken thing. Once hockey cards come out and the Kraken,
Dude,
forget about it.
Oh,
I
God.
can't tell you how stoked I cannot wait for the first
Bring
Kraken
on Mosaic
sweater.
hockey. I hope they're doing something.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Chronicles
OPG.
baseball.
Huh? Bowman.
Chronicles baseball. We're gonna put Mosaic hockey in it.
I mean, it's you watch what happens in this industry.
well, I think
in
for the
this-
Northwest, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a hockey guy, but I'll go to a game. I mean, I got people who I don't think they knew what hockey was. They got the sweatshirts already. They got the T-shirts, the hats. They're rocking everything. They're excited for something. It's
So let me ask you
no
then.
basketball.
So when Kraken like draft happens, are you paying attention? Not being a hockey collector,
No, me personally, not. I'm not. I'm not going to invest my time.
you
I'm
gonna
all
buy
over it.
that?
I'm all over it.
That
I do
MVP
not own that
all
Kraken
over it.
sweatshirt.
2021, 22
I'm all
MVP
over
hockey. You're
I
all
gotta
over
save
it.
that
I'm
money
all
for
over it.
Mosaic.
There you
I'm
go.
all over it. And
So
soccer.
at the end of the
Bring
day,
me some soccer.
we want to provide a podcast that's going to be directed in a certain direction. Where do you see this going? Because we're getting down to the end of our time for our first go of Cards Corner. Where do you want this podcast to take not only the collecting community but the sports world itself?
Well, I think once we get our feet going, I think it's just giving that up to date information. That releases what's coming out, who's hot, who's not. What the trends are, and just giving out our views of it, giving out the facts as well.
Sure.
Giving people the checklist counts. What's been pulled. If you really are following it or selling on eBay, you could see what has been hit already, and some of those things to still seek after.
You definitely have your finger on the trend, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's in order to sell on eBay and understand the whole market, you have to have your finger on what's hot today.
For sure. I mean,
But what's hot today is not hot tomorrow. I mean,
No.
that ends and changes at a moment's
But I
notice.
mean, you
right?
You got to do your homework and you got to
you got a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire whose value just kept creeping,
Sure.
creeping. Thursday night football comes, he blows up. Best numbers over the week one as a running back. I mean, it's just taken off. It's
not like Judy.
if he has a down week this week, I still think his numbers, his value stays the same.
By the way, I have a Mosaic autograph for sale of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So,
Do you?
yeah.
How about Chase Young?
Autograph? No. I would like one. It's called a laundry tag. It was a piece of his jock strap. But
It was size 42.
right. It was a
That was his
schmedium.
jock strap.
So I really think with the podcast, I think there's a void in information out there. I think people want to relate sports to sports cards, but
Or
they
false information.
correct, but they don't know how. So I think with enough husky mediums, we can get that.
And I mean, that's all we can hope for. There with how many podcasts are out there, there's going to be something that's going to draw
Sure.
a crowd to us.
Even if it's just the characters that are in it.
Hey, just something
could
to
be.
relate.
You know.
Just the stories. It's a barber shop in a card shop. You're getting that
Oh.
that home feel.
We should have the
family
t-shirts
friend.
made. Barbershop in a card shop.
Yeah,
What's said here stays here.
T&D.
signed, sealed, delivered.
That is
know.
right. The
And of course,
producer's
as
grinning.
they say,
She's
in
grinning from ear
as
to
they
ear.
say in
so-
YouTube world, don't forget to hit the link below.
Yeah, hit the subscribe.
And if you just have random questions about anything pertaining to the hobby,
Hit any of us.
he's your man.
Any
Give
of
him
us
a
at
call.
the Turf and Dirt.
I
Look 'em
think
up,
I
email
think
'em,
what
Instagram
we
'em.
want to do is be able to field all the questions. We would love to have a question and answer session.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Exactly. So,
Critique us.
absolutely.
Just remain respectful.
Just
I
gonna
guess.
make us better. It's not gonna make me cry.
We have children watching.
the husky medium.
That's it.
I can't get that phraseology out of my head.
How do we
so.
sign out of this thing?
Peace out.
No. Thanks, bro.
All right,
we didn't
guys.
drop enough bros.
So this was our first go round. I know it was kind of a little brutal, but we had a chance to kind of, I think, run a cross section of, I think, how we feel, where the cards we think are going. And each week is going to be interesting because the topic of information is going to be different. I mean, this hobby changes so fast that what is hot today becomes cold tomorrow, and
We're coming into the prime, though. NBA Finals coming
Sure.
up. We're coming into MLB playoffs. We're coming into
Stanley Cup Finals.
I mean, the beginning of the NFL season. We don't like hockey.
is your team in the?
we're down 3-2.
With how many left?
2.
2.
Well, possibly 2.
Okay. When is the next?
I think tomorrow.
Okay.
Go
So-
Islanders.
Yeah, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed for the Islanders.
And we're going to watch Thursday Night Football and watch Baker get drilled in the ground.
Is that Cincinnati and Cleveland?
We got that Who Day Nation. It's time to seize the day.
Is Kareem Hunt back?
Krispy Kreme is back.
Krispy Kreme is back. So,
And we're hoping that the Giants outscore the Yankees this week.
There we go.
and we hope that Russell Wilson throws another 4 touchdowns.
And
to
that
Steve
defense
Largent and
gives up
everybody else.
another 500 yards passing.
Did you guys even notice Jadeveon Clowney in the Titans game?
No.
Is he wearing a Titans jersey?
He is.
Yeah, he played against Denver on Monday night.
I don't even know if he's with Seattle anymore.
Yeah.
What? Who's
Edit
Evan
that.
White?
Really? Not only the best defensive. Anyway. All right, guys, that is Cards Corner. Thank you for watching. I hope you found something, a sliver of hope. Is that a good way to hope?
Intrigue.
Intrigue.
All right,
Stir
guys.
the imagination.
Thank you much. We will be back again. It'll be a little more polished next time, I think, right?
A lot more polished.
Nah.
No.
Let's keep it raw.
Let's keep it raw. So this is Cards Corner in the raw. See you later.